whatever fantasy bracket you cooked up before Capcom Cup 11 began, or whatever predictions you had after day one, burn it. Throw it in the trash. Get rid of it because it's not coming to fruition. Capcom Cup Day 2 begins and ends with the biggest upsets we have seen thus far, and the predictions that you had prior to this day are now effectively meaningless. As a reminder, we have 48 of the best players from all over the planet competing at Capcom Cup 11 for the grand prize of $1 million. After the group stage is complete, we'll have one person per group come out in winners, one person come out in losers, for a total of 16 players who will then compete in a final double elimination bracket to determine who will take the championship spot. And kicking off the action for Day 2 is Group D, which was one of the most exciting groups from Day 1, where the big story was Broski going up with a big 2-0 lead in the group by winning a super clutch set over Bravery and taking out one of the favorites, VXBow. And the other story is Blaz, the 15-year-old Chilean prodigy, who is the youngest player to ever compete in Capcom Cup, also taking a win over VXBow. So VXBow starting the day 0-2 as one of the favorites to win this whole group out of winners. And Blaz actually gets us started with the action going up now against Emperor, who is the offline qualifier, who are the favorites to do well at these events. Emperor won Kings of the World, the very last CPT event, and it's a Ryu versus Ken classic Shoto throwdown. And after a really tight back and forth between these two players, it comes down to the final game, final round for the first set of Day 2 of Capcom Cup. Emperor gets started early with the drive rush into a low forward conversion into the corner, finds the quick shimmy, and immediately converts to the quick level 3 here. He's going to restore his drive meter and take a solid life lead over Blaz and have the corner positioning. So Blaz is going to have to fight back and find an opening to survive. He finds interruption on the Jinrai overhead, gets the whip punish into the Tatsu side swap, has corner control. Immediate drive reversal on the low forward drive rush cancel, sweeps on the drive rush attempt from Emperor as well, and finds the burnout with a crouching heavy punch to Odi Hashogeki into the frame trap, into the level 3 conversion. Massive play, and Emperor throws his head back in disdain, in desperation. He knows he's going to get checkmated. Blaz just has to control the corner. He misses the uppercut though, but on the second jump, Blaz finds it and gets the guaranteed heavy punch. Emperor just scrambling at the end there because that heavy punch was going to lead into a drive impact for a guaranteed checkmate scenario. And Emperor actually did find the jump to potentially escape. After Ryu's level 3, you're only +8, I believe, which is not that much frame advantage. So Blaz had to control the corner to prevent Emperor from worrying his way out. Emperor had an opening but didn't realize the jump in would hit. But Blaz recovers and gets the guaranteed heavy punch to get the win. And Blaz goes up 2-0 in his group now with a huge win over Emperor. And after that set, we have Idom versus VXBow, where Idom is fighting to stay alive in this group stage. But unfortunately for him, after having two really close games in Day 1, VXBow ends up taking out Idom's MenaRD 2-0, which all but assuredly determines that Idom will not make it out of this group. The only way mathematically for this to work out for Idom is if potentially there's like a 5-0 in the group and the fate is out of his hands. So VXBow might have spelt the end for Idom there. But in the next set, we have the two undefeated players going up against each other, Broski versus Blaz. And Broski starts off really strong. In fact, he has Blaz at set point here and is fighting Blaz really effectively. We can see here that Broski goes for the OD stabby hands. Blaz tries to do the drive reversal to get him off, but Broski reacts to the level through the drive reversal to get the burnout. And you know, Aki is the queen of burnout here. Sets up the fireball to try to push Blaz to the corner. Blaz does have super meter. He does DP through the stabby hands to interrupt the approach with the plus frames. Gets Broski into the corner here. Resets to the neutral. Odie fireball to avoid the jump in after throwing an Aaron fireball, but puts himself in burnout in the process. And with that, Blaz actually gets the guaranteed stun. Broski played a little bit fast and loose with his drive meter. Blaz found the control and the opening to then turn that around when Broski went into burnout and get a guaranteed stun to tie it up 1-2-1. And Broski, after being on set point twice to give the first L to Blaz and to secure a 3-0 record in his group, finds himself on the receiving end of his set point. Blaz has Broski in the corner here, secures the anti-air DP as Broski tries to jump out. He lands the throw loop city. Odie fireball meaty, nothing Broski could do about that besides a perfect parry. And Blaz finds the pressure into the burnout, into the button, into the level 2, and Broski receives his first L of the group, and Blaz goes on with his undefeated reign, going up 3-0 in the group stages. Wow. Amazing play from Blaz right there, showing why I told you, you got to look out for this kid. He is absolutely dangerous in this group. And up next, we had Emperor versus Bravery, both of them fighting to stay alive and keep their records afloat in this group. And Bravery ends up taking it to the final game, final round, and taking the set over Emperor. And yeah, Emperor just not having the best day in this Capcom Cup group. But you know who's having a worse day? That's Mr. 0-3 Idom right now, because he has not won a single set in this Capcom Cup group, and he's all but mathematically eliminated at this point. He would have to have someone have a 5-0 record, and a bunch of other strange occurrences occur for him to possibly move on. And Blas is the only person left who is undefeated, and Idom has to play Blas tomorrow, so he's not allowed to beat Blas, and he's also not allowed to lose. Therefore, he's in an impossible position. But Broski has a lot to lose here. Broski definitely wants to stay alive, and he's going up against Idom here. He was formerly undefeated going to this group phase, but Idom, playing for the love of the game, takes Broski to final game, final round here. And Broski, low drive meter situation, is trying to stay alive, not going to burnout. Idom, playing the neutral game, gets a drive rush cancel into the command grab. 5 medals to his name. One single command grab will kill. Broski has a CA available. Overhead is denied by Broski. Idom maintaining the neutral control and the whiff. Broski has made videos about this interaction. OD stabby hands can sometimes clip with one hit, then fly over the opponent's head, leaving Aki at about negative 10 million. And it happened right there. I expect a Broski video breaking down that in detail. And Idom takes his first set win of Capcom Cup over Broski. And Broski now only has 1 set remaining tomorrow to hopefully stay alive in the group stages. But of course, the main story out of this group is the continued domination from Blas, the 15-year-old Chilean prodigy who only has 2 sets remaining in his Capcom Cup group to potentially go 5-0. We'll have to see if he can pull that off tomorrow when he goes up against Bravery and Idom. And up next, we have Group E with titans such as MenaRD, Fuudo, and Mr. Crimson in there. And after day 1, things seem mostly pretty stable in this group. That would be until today, day 2, with Limestone up against MenaRD. Now, Limestone got kind of worked by Fuudo in day 1, so I wasn't sure what to expect from him, the Colombian Ken. He's the player I knew the least about going into this Capcom Cup, but he made his name known today, turning the world upside down, and finds himself at final game, final round with MenaRD. MenaRD going with the Bison up against the Ken here. Limestone controlling the neutral, preventing MenaRD from drive rushing in, pushing him to the right side of the screen. Applies his own light pressure here as well. Detects the throw. Finds a low forward cancel to push MenaRD into the corner. And look at the drive meter situation. He goes for the level 3. Limestone, he looks left and looks right. He's like, wait a minute. Am I actually about to beat MenaRD? Low drive meter situation. MenaRD is going to have to make a move right away. Limestone controlling the corner. Finds the whip punish on the crouching medium punch. Gets the reset, like against Jammer's words, but controls the corner, finds the DP, and goes for the chip, puts him into burnout. OD Jinrai takes it for Limestone, and Limestone gives MenaRD his first loss at Capcom Cup. Wow, if you called that victory from Limestone, you're a liar, or you're from Colombia. It's one of those two, because I don't think anyone else on the planet would have predicted this outcome. Limestone making a name for himself today. Next up is Fuudo versus Chrissy CH, and Fuudo is sitting pretty with a 2-0 record. Meanwhile, Chrissy CH is sitting ugly with the opposite. He needs to make a win happen right now, and he's working on doing just that. He has Fuudo here on the ropes at set point, up a game and around. He finds a heavy punch for pressure, gets the jab, frame trap into the OD quick burn, but doesn't cancel into the quick burn. He wasn't sure if that would kill or not at the level 2, plus the Power Geyser meter dump would kill. He didn't have the 3rd meter for the full dump, and then Fuudo instead wakes up at level 1. So eventually then tied up between these 2 players on set point, match point between these 2 players, and Fuudo finds the drive rush to level 3 reaction through the OD fireball to take the set and make his record 3-0 and Chrissy CH 0-3. As the group carries on, order is mostly restored as we continue, with Mr. Crimson taking a set 2-1 over Limestone. MenaRD cleans up and takes a set over Diver 2-0, and Bison versus Diver's Ed. And Chrissy CH, kind of in a similar position to Idom, just plays spoiler to Mr. Crimson and takes a really strong set with this Terry over Mr. Crimson's Dalsum. But at the end of the day, Fuudo is the one to look out for with a 3-0 record, but MenaRD right behind him with a 2-1 record. Going into day 3, the last 2 opponents MenaRD has to fight to potentially make his way out of groups is Mr. Crimson and Fuudo himself. So potentially if MenaRD goes 2-0 tomorrow and takes a set over Fuudo, he could be the one making out in winners instead. We'll have to see. Keep in mind, Fuudo is the player who eliminated MenaRD from top 16 last Capcom Cup, so some history there. We'll have to see how this plays out on day 3. And now we move on to Group F, where really every player is so strong that the only real upset opportunity is if a player like Jack or Uriel makes it out of this group, and Jack was on his way to make that a reality by beating Lashar, the favorite to make it out and winners in day 1. But for him to continue that momentum, he has to get some more big wins under his belt, and Xian goes and puts a stop to that early with a quick victory over Jack to make his record 3-0 and the front runner of the group. But Jack has another opportunity to make history for himself going up against Big Bird, who historically has not performed very well at Capcom Cup and often fails to get out of groups. Here, though, Jack and Big Bird find themselves at final game, final round, each a piece. Big Bird with the combo, putting Jack into the corner here. Jack on a low life situation, but does have super to his name. Takes the throw, finds the driver's cancel into the clip low, and gets the combo conversion into the CA. Spends it just to restore his drive gauge. He does have an opportunity to make something happen here, and Big Bird is going to be a lot lower in the drive meter department as well. Finds the space heavy punch into the store to chip away the drive meter and forces the burnout right here. Gets the trade with the button, but the whiff allows Big Bird to get the sweep knockdown and get the guaranteed meaty heavy punch into the level 2 to force the chip. And that one small interaction where Jack wasn't sure the spacing on the trade allowed Big Bird to be ready for the whiff punish to get the guaranteed win thereon after. Super minor mistake from Jack. I mean, Street Fighter is a game of pixels, and it ends with Big Bird taking that set. And at the end of this group, we see that Xian is actually the front runner with a 3-0 lead. Jack, his odds of making it out have depleted. It's going to require a player like Xian to go 5-0 and maybe some other fate that is out of Jack's hand to occur to make him get out. But other than that, pretty standard group from here on out. We'll have to see how this one closes out on day 3. And up next is Group G, which I personally think is the most stacked group in the entire tournament and has some really interesting interplay between the character matchups represented. You see you have Kaba and NuckleDu, they're competing for the best Guile. They'll play actually on day 3 versus each other. Then you have Nephew and Killsu repping Jury, and Nephew has personally said like he wanted to avoid Guile as much as possible. So that's 2 bad matchups for those players. But then you also have Juicy Joe playing JP, which is traditionally a bad matchup for the Guiles. And then you have Xiao Hai just cooking everybody. So it's going to be interesting to see where this falls, but at the end of day 1, Xiao Hai and NuckleDu emerge victorious 2-0 in their groups, looking to continue that into today. But up first, we have Nephew going up against Kaba, and Nephew is living out his Guile nightmares. He tried Mai against NuckleDu yesterday and it didn't work out, but here with his Jury, he actually takes Kaba all the way down to the final round, but ends up gambling on a wake-up level 1 super that Kaba blocks and punishes, and all of Nephew's nightmares are slowly coming true before his eyes as he goes 0-2 in the group, but he still has a chance to fight back later on. That said, we have the front runners, NuckleDu and Xiao Hai, going up against each other next, and it's going to be the Guile versus the M Bison. After losing the first game, NuckleDu did really take a long time to think about what he wanted to go with, but ended up locking into the Guile, taking the second game. But when it comes down to the final game, Xiao Hai's corner pressure and reads are too strong, and I think Guile's is M Bison, such a strong pick against Guile, able to use OD Psycho Crusher so effectively to shut down the zoning game and get the corner pressure. And Xiao Hai takes a set to deliver NuckleDu's first loss and to go 3-0 in the group for today. And up next, we have Juicy Joe versus Kaba, and Juicy Joe already made a name for himself yesterday. He nearly beat Xiao Hai, who is undefeated so far, and then made a big upset versus Killsu. I thought he was just going to be a monkey wrench for the Guiles, but now he's actually going to fight his first Guile in Kaba. And here we have final round, final game between these 2 players. Juicy Joe has Kaba in the corner, finds the perfect parry after the block jump in, is going to set up the heavy swipe to get the OD portal. It's time for mix. Once you block that back medium target combo and you're not pairing, it's a high-low mix between the fireball. He drops the combo, but finds the opportunity for the reset into the level 2. Kaba tries to block it out au natural, but that forces the high-low mix, maybe an unblockable there with the DI to force a burnout. Both mutual burnout in the corner. Juicy Joe with a massive life lead gets the down forward heavy punch through the attempted boom from Kaba to build space and takes the set. Does Juicy Joe 2-1 over Kaba to go up another win in this group. Up next, we do have the battle of the Juries, Nephew and Killsu, both 0-2 in their group so far, but the winner of this does have a small chance of qualifying out of Capcom Cup tomorrow, and that would be Nephew taking the set 2-1, and Killsu is all but mathematically eliminated from Capcom Cup. But now we have Juicy Joe up again. We already saw him beat one of the Guiles in the group. Now he's up against the next one, NuckleDu. But NuckleDu opts out of the Guile matchup and decides to go for his Cammy, which is working out so far as we can see here. And the first game here, final round, NuckleDu has Juicy Joe in the corner. Sliver of life on Juicy Joe's name. A throw, a jab or two will do it when he puts himself in burnout to get out of the corner. Refusing to die to Knuckle Dude's offense, not biting on the jumps with the throw bait attempts. Finds the Abare jab through Knuckle Dude's pressure, which gives him the confirmation into CA. That's going to do 2 bars of drive gauge damage and send Knuckle Dude full screen as Juicy Joe comes out of burnout. Suddenly, advantage Juicy Joe here, really. Knuckle Dude is near burnout. The OD portal controls with space, snipes him out of the air. Juicy Joe puts down the portal, teleports, gets the air-to-air, but doesn't pick it up, but he blocks the wake-up DP, and Knuckle Dude takes the L. Juicy Joe refuses to die here. And you can see here in the next game, Juicy Joe puts Knuckle Dude into burnout, goes for the drive rush pressure, harassing Knuckle Dude. Dry rush, super, amnesia. Yes, you're able to cancel your drive rushes into amnesia, even the regular amnesia, which can counter supers. And now this is all checkmate. Knuckle Dude has 0 super meter to his name, so he has no recourse to these heavy punches into DI. They can combo, but one of them will eventually kill. And that said, Juicy Joe now is on set point. Knuckle Dude in a similar situation to Joe in burnout versus JP. Sliver of life to his name. Juicy Joe tries to drive rush in. Amnesia. What's it going to be? Dude, can you survive? Finally, he bites. Juicy Joe ends up taking the set 2-0 over Knuckle Dude. Not with the Guile, but with the Cammy, causing major upsets in this group. While Juicy Joe in Group G was super hype, nothing can prepare you for what went down in Group H. You see this group has players like Lex, Angry Bird, Soul, Juninho Ross, Shuto, and Kusanagi. And after day one, the story really was about Shuto. He was one of the favorites to make it out in this group in winners, and he went through the 2 most revered players in this group on day one. He beat Angry Bird and Kusanagi. So it was almost expected that Shuto would have an easy path here on out to make it out in winners. Let's see if that narrative gets challenged today. In the first match, we have Juninho versus Kusanagi, and it was honestly a wash. I gotta be honest with you. Kusanagi did not seem to be in it in this match today, but Juninho is super on point and takes it with a clean 2-0. And then up next, we have Soul versus Shuto, and things start to get a little interesting. You see, Soul in day one did not have a very strong performance. Soul qualifying out of Oceania from Kuwait, 19 years old. He seemed pretty lost in his set up against Juninho, and also Lex made him look super free. He seemed mostly nervous in his performance and not really prepared for the bright lights. But going up against Shuto, things seemed different, and he managed to take things all the way down to set point, final game, final round. This moment was way too hype, so I'll let live Brian F take it away. No way, don't tell me this happens. He's chopping the overheads. Air to air, jump medium to level 1, pick up with the OD Hashogeki, level 2, huge combo conversion. He gets more damage. Yeah, is he dead? He's not dead, and he's low in drive meter. Hold on. If Soul puts Shuto in burnout,
You gotta do something. Just stay. I respect that.
no way. No way. No way. Mutual burnout. He slide swaps. He gets the counter. He's dead. No fucking way. No way that just happened. I mean, this is just ridiculous. Too many interactions to count. I mean, there's the block DI from Shuto to put Soul into burnout in chip range. He does the level 1, threatening to get through the jab. You can actually jab that level 1 occasionally too. Mutual burnout, the coward crouch, avoiding the demon flip, the extra coward crouch dive, punishing the eager fireball to get the chip, and Soul stealing that away from Shuto with the clutch comeback, putting this group into absolute chaos. Shuto is supposed to be a shoo-in to make it out in winners after day 1. But speaking of unexpected outcomes, Juninho Ross is not done making the run of a lifetime. He's been in Capcom Cup several times, but hasn't made it out of groups. However, after taking that big win over Kusanagi and going up 2-0, now he's up against Lex, Evo Japan, top 3 finisher, best out of UK in terms of points. He's on set point, final game, final round between these 2 players, has Lex in the corner and finds the counter hit confirmation, gets the full combo into the level 3, and Juninho Ross out of Brazil is now the only undefeated player in this group, the group with Kusanagi, Shuto, and Angry Bird. We have Juninho Ross 3-0 at the end of this day in Group H. As the group proceeds, things stabilize a little bit more. Angry Bird gets his run back versus Kusanagi, who just wasn't really having a good day for himself. Kusanagi actually beat the brakes off of Angry Bird in Street Fighter League EU, where Angry Bird went mostly undefeated otherwise. And then Shuto ends up taking the set over Lex 2-1 to have the final standings be 3-0 Juninho Ross and Shuto with a 3-1 record. So who's going to make it out of this group? come day 3, I have no idea anymore. Up next is Group A, featuring Phenom, Takamura, Hot Dog 29, Salvatore, Itabashi, Zangief, and Punk. And after day 1, things were mostly stable outside of Phenom dropping a set to Takamura, which is an upset, I guess. I don't know. I think Takamura is just that dude. And Salvatore taking a set over Hot Dog 29, which is absolutely an upset. Salvatore out of Venezuela playing Cammy. He's the unknown wild card in this group. And while he beat Hot Dog 29, his first match in today's group is Punk the God, the Evo champion, the Cammy mirror. He wouldn't cause an upset here, would he? Well, as you can see here, Salvatore is already up a game and on set point versus Punk the God, and he goes in with the jump light kick and finds the delayed neutral jump to bait the throw. Punk the God reaching for air, eats the combo confirmation into the full level 3, and Salvatore takes a 2-0 set win in the Cammy mirror over Punk the God, putting this group into chaos. What a wild card. Punk the God was not expected to drop this set. I'm pretty sure most people on the planet counted Salvatore out in this group, and now suddenly we don't know who's going to make it through to the next round. Hot Dog 29 gets a win on the board also over Itabashi Zangief, gets his throw loops going in one of these rounds, ends up closing it out, making a solid comeback to avoid going down and being eliminated. Itabashi Zangief currently 0-3 at this point in time in the group, not having the best of time. Phenom goes up next against Salvatore, and this time in the Cammy mirror, he understands the gameplay. Maybe he eyeballed that Punk set a little bit and got some intel. He manages to take that set 2-1 over Salvatore. But up next is the other landmine, Takamura versus Punk. Takamura is known for causing major upsets in big Capcom Cup group situations, and Punk is definitely aware of that. Here you can see just how hard it is to fight Takamura. Look at this perfect parry timing after just staring Punk down in the corner. Takamura's going to take that first round with a super conversion. And look at how he uses this level 2 in neutral, backdashing to bait out the whiff heavy kick with the level 2. Really creative play there from Takamura. Finds the whiff punish here to close out potentially this game after baiting that DP. First game to Takamura. Punk in the second game, look how he has to get creative and snipe the gap there and bait out the drive reversal just to manage to get around to stay alive. He does close out that game, but here Takamura is on set point against Punk. Punk drops the combo, whiffs a driver's light cancel, perfect parry into DI, forces an early stun on Punk. He's in the corner. Takamura, for some reason, jumps into the corner instead of maintaining control. That whiff almost sealed Punk's life as well. Mutual burnout between these two players. Takamura finds the counter hit. He's going to go into level 2, but he drops it. I guarantee you he meant to level 2 there. Punk catches a lucky break. He might have been dead right then and there. Instead, we go to a final round, and Punk takes back control, finds the whiff punishes at the last interaction, and closes it out with a combo into level 3. But I'm fairly certain that level 2 was supposed to come out there in that combo drop instead of a Dragon Lash, and Takamura might have given Punk his second loss of the day to make his record 2-2. And for the final match of Group A, we have Itabashi Zangief versus Phenom. And Itabashi has been having a really rough group so far, but he finally gets a 2-1 victory over Phenom, which really puts this group into a strange array because as we look at the final standings here, nobody is undefeated in this group. And the leader currently is Salvatore with a +3 2-1 game record, which is just super surprising. So as we go into the final day, this group is anyone's game. We cannot predict who's going to get out and winners or losers at all. Group B is already one of the more naturally chaotic groups, and day 1 proved that with Salty Kid coming out and making big waves by beating C Unique and then causing the big upset versus NL and then handing them his business card after defeating them. So going into day 2, it's hard to know what to expect, but the first thing is, I suppose, an upset, to be honest. Grand Tokido 2-0 over Noah the Prodigy using some solid JP gameplay gives Noah his first loss after Noah had a solid victory over JB in day 1. Up next would be NL versus JB, a solid 2-0 victory for NL, kind of restoring a little bit of order there. JB not making the clutch win, which you need to start racking up some points for himself in this group. And then continuing the momentum, Grand Tokido gives Salty Kid his first loss of the entire group, using his JP against his Kimberly with a lot of close calls in this match. And Grand Tokido having a solid day for himself, 2-0 in this group for this day. Noah the Prodigy takes the set over C Unique as well, and then JB cleans up and takes a set over Salty Kid. So Salty Kid, he didn't hand out any business cards today. He's currently 2-2 in the group, and this group is also another wild card. While C Unique is having a rough time, 0-3 currently, it's hard to call who's going to make it out in winners and losers come day 3. But that's not all. We have one more group, and more chances for major upsets. We have Group C, the final group of the day, with Hollable, Jobby M, Kakeru, Zengi, Pilato, Dual Kevin, and Tokido. And things were looking pretty normal after day one. The favorites were in the lead, but that brings us to Zengi, Pilato versus Tokido. And I was really impressed with Zengi Pilato when he showed up to UFA and secured a 5th place finish there. And I knew that he might be a big monkey wrench in the bracket. Does that come to fruition? Well, here we are at final game, final round between these two players, and Tokido has a solid life lead here. Zengi Pilato looking to mount a comeback. He does have level 3 on his side, so he is dangerous, locked and loaded. Solid footsie game between these two players. Who's going to strike first? Tokido checking the fireballs. Drive rush, stand medium punch, target combo gets the knockdown. Drive rush sweep. Tokido holding up. He's scared of the level 3. Headbutt confirmation. Jumps away. Tokido gets anti-aired with the OD Larry. The Tatsu's no-go. Anti-aired again with OD Larry. This time into the level 2. Zengi Pilato throws his arms up. He knows it's a victory for him. 2-1. Zengi Pilato with the pop-off over Tokido. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And it doesn't end there. Of course, we have more games ahead. We have Kakeru up against Dual Kevin. Dual Kevin is looking to get ahead in this group, and this is one of the biggest challenges he's faced so far. Dual Kevin does manage to give Kakeru the first game loss he's had so far in this group, but Kakeru, too solid, takes the set 2-1 over Dual Kevin. And then after that, we have Hollable with his Ken up against Zengi Pilato. And interestingly enough, even though Zengi Pilato beat Tokido's Ken 2-1, he loses to Hollable's Ken 2-0, and that was supposed to be favored, in my opinion, to Zengi Pilato, which puts Zengi Pilato in a really nasty position. So Hollable, who was 0-2 up until this point in the bracket, is kind of playing spoiler to Zengi Pilato in a way, trying to fight to stay alive. But Zengi Pilato is now 1-2, and is going to have to fight for dear life in day 3 to make it out of this group. But then up next, we have history, potentially in the making. Jobby M versus Tokido. Now, if you don't know, Jobby M has been the most consistent representative from South Africa in Capcom Cup for years now, since Street Fighter V. In the beginning of Street Fighter VI, Jobby M made a name for himself internationally when Red Bull Kumite came to South Africa, his home country, and Tokido was one of the special guests there. And in a 1-5 set, Jobby M took the set in his home country in South Africa over Tokido to eliminate him that day. It is finally time for the run back. Not in a 2-week version of the game where people are still fresh and learning the systems. No, 2 years later at Capcom Cup in groups, Jobby M Terry versus Tokido Ken. And as we get into it, we can see Jobby M getting his offensive momentum going, putting the pressure on with a plus on block, stand heavy punch. And here's one of the big keys to the matchup. Tokido going to the Jinrai on block, but Terry's level 1 super 7 frames and super far forward advancing can punish that Jinrai on block from many distances. Jobby M gets the wall spot with the DI and finds a tick throw to close out the first round. Tokido back to mid-screen, didn't learn his lesson. Another level 1 punish with the Buster Wolf with Jobby M's Terry there. Finds a drive rush to the low, gets the combo conversion into the Buster Wolf. First game, 2 rounds straight to Jobby M. Here, Tokido's fighting back, finds a conversion to level 2 with Jobby M burnt out with only a throw's worth of life remaining. Tokido trying to get a throw on the board. Jobby M recovers from burnout. Once again, Jinrai too close. ODDP can get a guaranteed punish when done too close like that. Here, Jobby M on set point over Tokido. Blocks the wake up DP. Huge gamble from Tokido and full combo conversion into the DP level 3. This is massive damage and will allow Jobby M to restore his drive gauge and put Tokido on the back foot, near burnout, low life situation. What's he going to do in this situation? Drive rush in to the tick throw. Tokido went for the perfect parry attempt, and Jobby M gets the punish counter throw and proves that it was no fluke. It was not just that it was an early release of the game. It's not that Tokido hadn't figured out the system yet. Jobby M is here to play, and Tokido loses both his sets today to make it a 2-2 record for him in Capcom Cup after he was 2-0 after day 1. And after that monumental set, only one more set for the day remains. That is Hollable versus Dual Kevin, and Dual Kevin plays solid as ever and cleans that one up to take it 2-0. And as we look over the standings for Group C, only one thing is clear, and that is that Kakeru is goated. 3-0 in the set record, 6-1 in games, with a +5 game differential. It is clear that he is the favorite to make it out of here in winners, but as far as everybody else, only Hollable is mathematically eliminated, and the rest of the players have to fight out on day 3 to see who will survive and make it through to the top 16. And that's all I have for this recap. I know it's late. I'm working overtime to get these out before the next day even starts. By the time you're watching this, day 3 might have even already begun. But if you did watch it to the end, I appreciate it so much. Thank you for watching and supporting, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.